Good afternoon, everybody from Christchurch, Canterbury. This is a really hot and humid day. It's 2nd of Feb. It's a Thursday, 2023. So we thought of, doing a medium shallow dive on the tomato varieties that we are doing this year and tell you the do's and don'ts of growing tomatoes in your gardens. So right now in the garden we have got a lot of indeterminate varieties and a lot of determinate varieties. Not a lot, I've got 4 or 5 determinate varieties which are mostly cherry tomatoes. So once you have germinated the seeds, all of these have been grown from the seed. So what you need to do is, as per your geographical location, find the right time to transplant your seedlings into the garden. That is the first thing that you need to watch out. Timing is very, very important when it comes to, growing tomatoes. So the indeterminate varieties are the ones that would keep producing blossom, like you're looking at right now. There we go. The plant is producing the blossom. It has gone up to 8 foot. I've stopped supporting it even though we are in midsummer. So this basically determinate is the variety that keeps producing fruit until the very end of the season. So when we talk about determinate varieties, that is sun gold that you guys are looking at. It's producing really nice bunches. It's producing a lot of fruit, and the determinate variety, it produces the fruit in just one go. That is Tommy Toe that you're looking at, and that's black cherry, and then we have mini orange up here. So that's how you go about growing the determinate and indeterminate varieties. I thought of giving you a quick overview of that as well. So we are going to talk about a little bit about the hypercare when you transplant the seedlings into the garden, the plant positioning, keeping in view where does the sun strikes mostly in the garden. So I'm going to show you what I'm doing, but you can easily, you are the best judge of determining where the sun hits the most. So that part of the garden where you are seeing all the tomatoes, this gets sun earlier on, this bit, and then it comes on to this side. It stays here right now when I'm talking to you. It's a gloomy day, don't mind that. And then finally it gets to this part. So this part gets sun in later on in the day, but specifically the one that is in focus right now, it constantly gets sun earlier in the morning till quite late in the evening. So the next thing that is in line is the pruning of your tomato plants. As you have noticed, aeration is very, very important. So as soon as your plants would start growing, you have to ensure that the bottom of the plant is shaved off, like we have here. It ensures better aeration, and you have to stay on top of the weeding. As you can see, that the entire patch where I have got the plants, it's absolutely crispy clean. The weed, it impacts the growth of the plants. So if we focus on getting rid of the weed, it gives or allows your plants to focus more on the growth rather than fighting with the weed. Now I have done another convention when it comes to weeding, and that is I've got linseed straw here, which I'm using to grow the tomatoes. And linseed has worked really well. It has pretty much cut down my work down to, I would easily say, 90%. We don't get a lot of weed because of the linseed straw. It's very, very strong, and it keeps the moisture intact as well once you water the plant. If I could show you an up close and personal view of the soil, as you can see, it's quite nice and moist. And you don't have to water the plants pretty much every day because the soil would retain the moisture. So it really helps for the plants to stay nourished. So the next thing that we'll talk about is staking and supporting your plants. As you can see, I've experienced in New Zealand. I mean, the plants, they grow really tall. I mean, I've just shown you those plants where they've gone easily up to 8 foot. Now here I've got a potato leaf variety, and this was the last one to be going into the garden. I mean, I have this batch was functional quite late. Normally in New Zealand, what we do is we start transplanting from the last week of October. So some of those were done in the first week of November, and this one, it started off from mid-November. So as you can see, in less than, I think, 2.5 months, they've come up to 4 foot. So from experience, I have got the stakes accordingly, and I've got thread as well. It's a white thread, easily available in the market, which I'm going to use to support them as high as they want to go. So how to grow your plants, how to train your plants. A lot of people, they believe in growing their plants with a single trunk. However, this year I have done experiment with different conventions. What you're looking at right now is Albenga oxheart, and it's been growing with multiple trunks. I have clipped off the top now because it has gone high enough, and it's blossoming profoundly on the top. So this is something that I've done with multiple trunks. So is the black bear, and all of these plants that I'm doing, they are with multiple trunk, and you can see their growth has been absolutely beautiful, and they're still blossoming. This is Russian black rim. This went into the patch quite late, last week of no, not last week of December, mid-December it went in there, and they were struggling because we had a polar blast. So now, as you can see, that's a good view. You can see how high the plants have gone. So these are multiple trunks. So then I also did a couple of plants, more than a couple, but what I'm showing you is Joanne Flame. Now this is something that I've tried for the first time with a single trunk. I'm not very comfortable with the single trunk. I believe that if you don't let the plants do their own thing, it's not fair on the cycle of nature. But as you can see, this is coming up with a single trunk. Its fruiting is absolutely beautiful. I mean, it's formulating amazing clusters, as you can see, and there's almost zero blossom and rot on this plant, and it's going really well, and it's still formulating clusters on top. So single trunk convention has worked really well this year, and I'm quite happy with it, and I'm trying it with a few other varieties. So I think both conventions, they work really well. Depends on how you want to raise your plants. So the next thing that we'll talk about is health of the plants. I mean, normally the tomato plants are quite hardy, and if you're growing heirloom variety, they don't tend to get infestations. As you can see from the quality of the leaves, the color it represents, it resonates how healthy a plant is, and the quality of the blossom also tells you. But nonetheless, you do get times when your plants do get sick. So I'm going to show you a couple of plants, rather more than a couple. So this was purple Cherokee. I've got 3 plants, 2 at the back. They're really wonderfully dark green, and this one started fruiting first, but then it suffered a really horrendous blight. I've been spraying neem oil on this, and it's trying to come back to life. So neem oil is something that has done the trick for me, and this is Brandywine Black. So as you can see that the top leaves are doing quite good, and I've been chopping leaves off which were getting the blight. So yeah, I mean, you have to have a good pesticide. Ideally it needs to be organic, or the best organic treatment that I have come across is neem oil. So neem oil has done wonders. I have used it on pretty much all the plants in the initial life cycle, just to be on the safe side. So yeah, it's done wonders. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is the plant's nutritional needs. So what happens when they are blossoming and when they are fruiting? What kind of diet plants would need? So depending on where you are geographically located, I would suggest that what I'm using, I mean, you can variate between that. I mean, there's fishbone juice, there's seaweed juice that you can procure if you're in Europe and USA and in Australia and New Zealand. If you're in Middle East and Asia, you can always procure sheep pellets, cow manure, horse manure. Um, if you can find NPK, that is really good. The plants need a lot of nutrition when they are blossoming, and they furthermore need more nutrition when they are formulating all of that blossom into fruit. So as you can see, the color of the plant would tell you automatically how it's doing. It needs to be really dark green, and the clusters it would formulate, you will not experience any blossom and rot. And the blossom itself would show you that how well the plant is doing. Take a look. So the nutrition of the plants is very, very important on that front. So a lot of people ask me, I mean, about which tomatoes are best to grow. There's Sun Gold, which is orange color. There's Black Beauty that you're looking at right now. So it's orange, purple. There's Black Bear, which is a darkened variety. There's Althanga Oxheart. There's Blue Beauty. And they actually look blue with the naked eye. I don't know if the camera is doing justice or not. And then we have green and yellow variety, that is green sausage. It totally depends on what exactly your requirement is in the garden. Some people, they love cherry tomatoes and they only grow cherry tomatoes. That's black tula. So it totally depends on what exactly you're trying to grow. I mean, my way of growing tomatoes is totally different. It's like trying new varieties all the time. And by the way, this Brandywine Black, it reminds me of, hold on, let me try and take a better view. It reminds me of that variety called Chocolate Stripe. Its coloration is absolutely at par. So it's fruiting profoundly. That's Purple Cherokee. So it depends on if you like beefsteak sized tomatoes, or if you want paste tomatoes like San Marzano, or if you want big tomatoes. I've got Gigantama. I procured the seed from the UK and it has started fruiting as well, and the blossom looks really wonderful and beautiful. So it totally depends on what you want to grow. Normally the darkened tomatoes, they taste so much better as compared with the orange and red, but then cherry tomatoes are equally amazing, and they have a unique taste to offer as well. So last we'll talk about the challenges that you would face. I mean, if you're staking properly, if you're providing them with good feed, if the plant positioning is all good, and even then you're running into issues, always look out for videos that people have done. I'm trying to do the same effort here, and this variety that is in front of you right now, it gave me a really hard time last year. It's Brandywine Yellow. So you can see that it's fruiting profoundly this year. I never gave up on it. I grew that last year. I only got a couple of fruits, saved the seed from the local fruit, and you know, choosing the right seed is so important. It's absolutely important to choose the right seed. So finally, I mean, we are in the mid-season, so you would see a lot of fruit which is just hanging on the branches, but it's not matured. By the way, we have only harvested the first Althanga Oxheart today. That was ready. But other than that, I mean, Ukrainian Black, it's still formulating. That's, believe it or not, it's still maturing. We've got Moneymaker. It's producing a lot of fruit, but it's not mature. So harvesting is like if you're into this hobby, you would know when to harvest the fruit. And if you don't, just check up that variety on Google and find out what are the signs for you to harvest. Now look at this. This is like a tomato which converts into a really fiery orange color. So it's still not ready. This fruit is not ready. One of the German red strawberry tomato is changing color, as you can see. And by the way, if you happen to see any leaves like this, just get rid of the yellow leaves from your plants. It's better if you stay on top of the plants. Always observe your plants, if not daily, on 2 times a week, to see if there are any infestations or if there's anything else that you need to do. Make sure that you feed them good source of nitrogen, and give them sheep pellets, compost, or cow manure, horse manure, sheep pellets, chicken manure, whichever is easy for you. So this is like the mid-year review that we had done for you. If you have any questions that you'd like to ask, feel free to pop a message down in comments. We'll be more than happy to address them for you. And we will try and cover each of this variety. We have got 33 varieties this year. So we'll try and cover all of these for you, depending if weather and time would allow us. So on that note, we'll bid you goodbye. Have a lovely morning, afternoon, evening, and night, wherever you are. Have a lovely day. Goodbye.